Welcome to the channel. One of our last videos, we basically did a review on one of the lessons, 58, of how Jehovah's Witnesses had an article talking about remaining loyal to the organization and how they vaguely speak about the enemies of Jehovah's Witnesses, but they don't speak about the possibility of those people who have left, whether enemies or not enemies, actually speaking truth. And one of the reasons I wanted to further speak on this is because a lot of times people who leave religions or organizations are demonized. And when they're demonized, you're basically put under this negative image or mark or connotation. So when people listen to you, they automatically assume that you're going to be speaking lies, or that you're just being negative, or that you're just trying to ruin somebody's life. So being a Jehovah's Witness when I was, as you saw in the last article, they say, hey, if you listen to this, it's probably Satan, or it's lies, or the enemy is trying to attack us, or it's us being attacked by tribulation of some sort. So me having the same concept, there are certain relays that are put in your mind through propaganda. And when you hear negative things, a relay goes off in your mind, and it basically puts like a block, or makes you kind of push the information away because you think you're being attacked. You believe your faith is being attacked. And most times you're not taught to be like, listen, even if it's negative, and actually feel it out to see if it's something that you should actually listen to, or consider. So when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I had all these connotations, and it kind of wears down your senses, because in the organization you're taught, all right, if that's blue, you're almost taught that it's red. Or if you hear something with your ears, and even though it sounds true, you're taught to automatically think that's Satan, and that's probably a lie. So that's why it's very hard for Jehovah's Witnesses to kind of listen or hear negativity about their faith. One of the things I did in particular, I figured if those outside sources are lies, the best way to even create the idea that I can consider these sources, or that they may be truthful, is that if I can find negative publications or information within the organization itself, from material that they published, then now it would open the doors for me to consider information elsewhere. Obviously, I didn't want to do it the opposite way, because if you do, as a Jehovah's Witness, they're going to say that, oh, you must have had a lust, or you had some desire, maybe you wanted to do something wicked in the world, or you just wanted to be part of the world. And of course, that wasn't the case. I really had a legit appreciation and truth for God, and at that time, Jehovah, as we call them. So this was one of my top articles or points of information to help me lead, or open the doors for me to basically make my exit and do research, so I can leave the organization. So this article says, what future for the young? Young or old, you need to face up to the fact that this system is not going to change its direction under Satan's influence. It will continue to deteriorate rapidly in its remaining years. The truth of this can be seen in crime statistics everywhere. In the United States, the Federal Bureau of Investigation reported that in 1968, there was a fantastic 17% increase in crime over 1967. Stopping there, just to remind you, this article was written in 1969. Continuing, it says, this came on top of many years of other large increases. The population, however, grew only 1% last year, so crime exploded 17 times as fast as the population. If you are a young person, you also need to face the fact that you will never grow old in this present system of things. So already, anyone who's a Christian or a Bible believer or a follower of Christ, or maybe of some other faith, as we know, read in the Bible, it says, nobody knows the day nor the hour, right? Only God himself. Not even the angels, not even his disciples, not even the apostles. So already here, you're seeing the propaganda. It's saying that basically, as if you're young, let's say you're 20, 18, maybe even 30, or maybe older or younger, that you're not going to grow old in this present system. You're not going to get old. So what does old really feel like? Maybe if you're 20, you're not expecting to maybe reach it to 30 or 40 or 50. And it gets worse. So we're going to continue reading. It says, why not? Because all the evidence and fulfillment of Bible prophecy indicates that this corrupt system is due to end in a few years. So, hold the phone. Nobody knows the day or the hour. So even though here Jehovah's Witnesses aren't giving an exact date, they are basically prophesizing. They are saying, strongly being persuasive or giving the idea or leading us on to believe that the system that they currently lived in at the time only had about a few more years before the end would come. So what would that do for somebody who maybe was 20 or even in their 10 years old? They're living in fear and thinking, wow, God's day is going to come anytime, and I might not even make it through middle school or high school. So why take school serious? Or if I'm in high school, why take high school serious? Let me not pay attention. Let me not even worry about a career that much. Because I might not be here. And so let me live my best time now, or let me give as much of my time to the organization. Let me not think about saving money or maybe opening up a 401k. They may have had something different at the time. Or let me not look for a job with a pension, or no, let me just look for the basics. Maybe somebody who is in their early 20s. Well, why have kids if God's system or this system is only a few years away? There's no point in having kids. So many individuals made the sacrifice of not having kids, or God's day is only a couple years away. I have a house, different materials, things. Let me sell it all and give it to the organization so that we can fund and help push this ministry so that the information can get to those worldwide so that the truth can be preached, so-called truth. So there were individuals who did that. They sold their homes, they quit their jobs, and they basically just preached. If they were regular baptized publishers, they converted into auxiliary pioneers or regular pioneers, maybe even special pioneers, and just preached. They ran up maybe their credit cards or their debt because they were thinking, I'm not going to have to pay this back in a couple years. So you can see how a lot of people either put a pause on their life or they stopped thinking about the future. Even myself, growing up, I didn't think I was going to make it to 18 years old. And if I did, I didn't see myself living further than that. So I wasn't really paying attention to setting myself up for the future. Maybe, buying stocks or certain investments or gold or silver or even real estate. It continues to say, I'll continue where it says, because all the evidence and fulfillment of Bible prophecy indicates that this corrupt system is due to end in a few years. Of the generation that observed the beginning of the last days in 1914, Jesus foretold, this generation by no means pass away until all these things occur. So here they're talking about the anointed ones, that the anointed ones who lived and lived through 1914, saw World War I, that those individuals, that the God system would end before these people basically passed away. And they have a scripture there quoted. Let's continue. Therefore, as a young person, you will never fulfill any career that this system offers. If you are in high school or thinking about a college education, it means at least 4 years, perhaps even 6 or 8 more years to graduate into a specialized career. But where will this system of things be by that time? It will be well on the way towards its finish, if not actually gone. So again, strongly persuading and proclaiming that God's day is a couple years away and that the system. So you know how this affected many people emotionally? Even even individuals in my family who never even got baptized in a religion basically put their lives on hold, and anytime there would be maybe certain events worldwide, catastrophic, pestilence, etc., they thought God's day was here, and that almost encouraged them not to do anything else with their lives. Even myself, growing up, and even, maybe I didn't have this article fully ingrained in my mind at the time, but I would hear the swine flu, or when we had different epidemics. When you're listening to the radio on the fear mongering, and you have this kind of belief, you're thinking, oh man, God's day is here. This is the end. And then you're almost thinking yourself that you're part of religion because they fear you to thinking that this is a safe haven. It also continues to say, this is why parents who base their lives on God's prophetic word find it much more practical to direct their young ones into trades that do not require such long periods of additional schooling. And trades such as carpentry, plumbing, and others will be useful not only now, but perhaps even more so in the reconstruction work that will take place in God's new order. And this is one of the reasons I took on a trade at a vocational school, because, being persuaded by articles like this, I didn't think I was gonna, make it to college or the funds or even the time. So I spent more of my time preaching than to actually thinking about my future. And if it would have been the truth, it would have been a justifiable reason. But because it was not, it was basically in vain. And I have a scripture here. It's in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 22. And this was another scripture that really helped me contemplate and helped me in my exit and leaving an organization. It says, when a prophet speaketh in the name of the Lord, if the thing follow not nor come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord hath not spoken, but the prophet had spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. And I'm going to read the translation below it. When a prophet speaketh in the name of Jehovah, if the thing follow not nor come to pass, that is the thing which Jehovah hath not spoken. The prophet had spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. So basically the scripture is saying, hey, if somebody who proclaims to be a spokesman person of God says that something's going to happen and it doesn't, he basically is a false prophet. And once that door of the possibility of there being error existed, it opened the doors that maybe these people who are directing the organization are actually in the wrong, and they don't know everything that they're actually saying. And that's not me speaking it. This is a scripture basically saying it with their own article that was written back in this time. And one of the reasons I'm not actually using it from their official Watchtower library is that there's a lot of older articles that have been kind of withdrawn from the Watchtower library online, So you don't have access to it unless you access it through it from another source. And obviously it's more beneficial for them so that people can't go digging and seeing past errors. The following paragraph says, with such practical trades, many young persons have been able to sustain themselves with part-time work. This allows them to spend much more of their time helping interested persons to learn God's requirements for life by studying the Bible with them. And ultimately, I really don't have to read any long further because what we've read already kind of says it for itself. But there's a lot of people who gave hours and hours of their life, whether they didn't spend time with family, they saw the people who were part of the organization more as of their family than those who were their blood, and maybe didn't spend time with their kids, and maybe that's why parents and children were distant, or so on and so forth. So I hope this helps you as much as it helped me, and I will look forward to going through more articles like this. And I feel bad for all the people who withdrew from having kids, because years went by, they died, and they probably got older and realized, wow, I actually grew when I was in my 20s. I actually lived to see 60 or 70. I could have had children. There was moments where it wasn't really that bad, and I could have taught them and educated them properly, and they gave up on that. Maybe other individuals who thought they were never going to get old, so they never married. Or other people who never just reached their full potential, and it's kind of sad, the deception. So thank you for listening. Bye-bye.